Welcome to the Heat Ratio, where we bring you sports with an attitude. Here are your hosts, Tony Jigsaw Cotillo, Coach Dave Dixon, Pittsburgh John Coker, and the wild card, Mike Mataraki.
What is up, boys? Look at Mike with the 4 beers deep already. He's already getting set up, man. He's already getting set up for. He knows what's coming. He knows what is coming, man. For real, he definitely knows it's coming. What's up, everybody? We got a tremendous show. Sato, what is up, my man? Checking in Thursday night, Sato. Get on that cornhole game. Barstool Sports, right? 6:30 p.m. Everybody get in on that. Check it out. Got to remember. Got to keep that going. Guys, we got a tremendous show. Listen, I know what we're going to get into. We all know what we're going to get into. But we have a lot of topics planned for tonight. We're going to talk a little Sixers coaching search. Billy Donovan has been hired by the Chicago Bulls, so he is out of the mix. Absolutely. Right? Yeah, it does. It does. And, we're going to talk about maybe trading for CP3. We're going to talk about the Phillies, who just got crushed tonight. Maybe their playoff hopes are all but gone. We're going to talk.
They're actually winning the second game of that doubleheader right now.
Yeah, but it's tough, man. You had to expect a lot more from Nolan, man. You just had to, right? You just had to. And then we talk about the Philadelphia Eagles, and that's where we're going to start. And that's probably where we're going to get a very interesting context going here. Because, listen, I mean, I don't know what else to think about this. But again, before we go, Tony Cotillo at TCotillo23, John Coker, PGH John 36, Coach Dave Dixon at Coach Dixon 365, and Mike the Wildcard Mataraki at Big Mikey Smalls, at Heat Ratio Sports on Twitter. And listen, Mike's already had
Sorry. Tony, I'm miserable. I am miserable.
I'm probably going to make you more miserable.
The shit show that we had on Sunday, followed up by the Zach Wheeler crap on Monday, and the Aaron Nola, I don't know, whatever it was this afternoon. Like, can we do something to cheer me up? Anything?
No,
I don't know.
No, and we're not going to do nothing to cheer you up, Mike. And like Molly says, what a depressing line of subjects, which is absolutely right. It is not a good time to be a Philadelphia fan right now. I can tell you that. Okay, that is for damn sure. But I have to listen. It's going to piss you right off the mat, right off the bat. Here, we're going to get right into this Jalen Hurts talk. Okay, we have to get right into it. And Mike, Dave, John, I'm going to say one thing, and then we're all going to have our take. Okay, my opinion has changed drastically when we talk about Carson Wentz. Now, Mike, before you get off your rocker, I'm not saying that Jalen Hurts should be the starting quarterback. Okay. But what I am saying though is now I get it. Now I understand. Now I see why they drafted Jalen Hurts. I do. I see why. And the reason why I see why is because I watch guys like Kyler Murray. I watch guys like Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes, Justin Herbert. I watch young guys come in systems and they produce. I watch it. I've watched a tremendous regression of Carson Wentz. Tremendous. And the thing is, I think a lot of stuff was telling by the Doug Pederson press conference today. I honestly, read between the lines, say whatever you want, but I'm going to play this one clip, and then I'm going to go right to you guys and tell me right off the bat what you're thinking when this happens, because to me, this is kind of what set me off and what gave me a different line of thinking. Here's Doug talking about Carson.
Doug, in Carson's 5th year in the league and 5th year working with you, why are you seeing his production and his performance regress?
Progress?
Regress.
Oh, regress. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I did cut out there a second. It's a good question. For us, it's a matter of continuing to work, I think as coaches and players, we continue to strive to get better every single day. I just don't want Carson to feel like he has to make all the plays every single time. I just want him to just be Carson, and you guys know him. You've been around him. You've heard him. His demeanor is he wants to do everything right, and we've given him control to do that. But we just got to continue to work to get better. And I don't think anybody can totally master, the sport. You're constantly learning and getting better, and that's what we got to do and continue to coach that.
So I'm going to go because I know Mike, I can't hold him back anymore, right? But I have to listen. I have to ask this. Number one, two things tell me. Okay, number one, right? And you can say whatever you want, but when he says progress, like he was shocked that somebody mentioned the word progress. And then number two, his answer of, yes, it is. It's concerning to him. This is the first time I've ever heard Doug talk about it in that context. Mike, what does that clip tell you right there?
Well, I look at Doug, the first sentence of Doug's answer that says, I don't want Carson to feel like he's got to do it all himself. Well, if you had a fucking defense that didn't give up 27 unanswered against Washington and then put Carson in a 14-3 hole at the end of the first quarter on Sunday, maybe he wouldn't feel like he had to do it all himself. Like, it's just ridiculous.
Mike,
yeah.
The good quarterback. Listen.
I just got the alert, too. I'm in the middle of a rant, and I get the alert that the Nationals wound up sweeping the Phillies today.
Robert just texted in. Bullpen just blew another one. Phillies are swept. See, I have forward thinking. But
my man Wyatt.
There you go. That's a Pittsburgh Coker boy. That's a Pittsburgh boy.
No, that is not a Pittsburgh. That's a Philly boy down every week. No. I believe it or not, I do have friends in Philly.
You have friends in high places? Like Garth Brooks?
If that's what you want to call Eagles territory right around now.
Yeah.
But listen, Mike,
let's run it back for a second because I do feel like Molly's comment actually made a good point.
Right.
He was a little shocked. And you see where she says how confused Doug appeared thinking progress was said instead of regress. His face said it all. I don't think Doug was prepared to answer a question about Carson's regression.
What does that say?
Because I don't necessarily know that Doug believes he's regressed. Now, has he regressed? Maybe. Has he just had two bad games? Maybe. Nah. I mean, but here's the thing. We want to say regression. We gave pass after pass after pass in this city to 3, 4, 5 game stretches of Donovan with pedestrian outings bailed out by a Jim Johnson defense. You look at Carson's numbers last year, 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, more than 4,000 yards. Basically put the team on his back the second half of the season and got into the playoffs. But because he comes out of the gate with 2 bad games this year after not having a preseason, all of a sudden it's regression? Maybe.
Molly checking in. He should be prepared for that line of questioning. The fact he could not be prepared for that is another scary factor in itself, 100%.
Well, and that's fine. I don't disagree with that because my thought process on this is, why is this all on Carson? And Tony, you tweeted it out the other day. Like, why is it that when it's the Sixers, it's Brett must go, but we're keeping Ben and Joel? But when it's the Eagles, it's all Carson and nothing on Brett or Doug or, God forbid, we question Jim Schwartz and his fucking Swiss cheese defense that has allowed 63 points in 2 games.
That's Dave's boy. We're going to get to that. Look, we're going to get to that. But here's what I will say. I'm going to go right to Dave right after I say this. Mike, I number one, I did tweet that, and I finally figured it out. It's because it's the Nick Foles factor, right? If Nick Foles didn't come in this town and win, then we would never be talking about it. We would never be talking about it. But the fact of the matter remains this. We could talk about Donovan all day. We could talk about it's only 2 games. We could talk about whatever. But if you watch some of the game film, Carson Wentz 100% not only is playing scared, but he has regressed tenfold, dude.
The thing is, I don't think he's playing scared. I think he's pressing.
No, I think it's both. And can
you be scared and press
yeah,
at the same time?
I think you can. And what I mean is you could do that in the same game. Right, you could do that in the same game. There was a play, and listen, Baldinger was great on this. He had the film, he broke it down. Okay, it was a play to Deshaun Jackson that could have went for 40 or 50. Carson got so scared at a pass rush coming at him, was 4 yards away from him, wasn't even near, and he threw the ball so erratically to get it out off his back foot. He was not ready. He was scared. He is not playing like Carson Wentz, and that concerns me. Dave, do we have a concern here?
No, of course we do. Listen, I don't think that Carson should get all the blame here. I'm going to go a couple different angles here. I'll tell you that go back to having all the right tools, having all the right people in place. I go back to this team could be in trouble for a couple years thanks to the people, the personnel that they brought in, drafting and free agency. That's a gigantic problem. I'll go back to coaching. When Carson was at his best, he had a guy by the name of DeFilippo and Frank Reich as the offensive coordinator. You tell me the guys that he has in place now. The fact that Carson is playing a certain way has a lot to do with the organization and how the organization is in disarray, right? Your play on the field is exactly how this organization looks right now. Don't look too far past that. And in my opinion, the media in Philadelphia and all the fans should be directing their blame at Jeffrey Lurie. And it should not be at Carson Wentz, and it should not be at Doug Pederson, because those two have proven with the right parts here, they can get this done. And they've chose to draft a quarterback in the 2nd round, and they chose to draft Sidney Jones, and they chose to draft all these other guys that cannot help this team right now. So you want to get pissed off at people for the people of Philadelphia? Directed at Jeffrey Lurie, because he's steering the ship in the wrong direction. He's got the wrong leadership in place, and they've got the wrong personnel to help Carson Wentz play the game. And you guys out there listening and paying attention and stuff, you hate the Dallas Cowboys. Guess what? They know how to draft, and they know how to pick personnel, and they do everything right except for playing the game, which comes down to coaching. Can you imagine Carson Wentz in that offense? How good would Carson Wentz be with those tools? Offensive line, running back.
Honestly, Dave, I don't know. I don't know.
He would be awesome. He would be even better than any quarterback in the league with those.
Right now, I don't know, John. You listen. You've had a mainstay in Ben Roethlisberger for years in Pittsburgh, right? Have you ever seen Ben have these type of issues? And if he has, what has happened there?
Dude, my purpose on this podcast is to cool down the hotheads of Philadelphia and just bring a little bit of grounding. So I don't think any of you guys are wrong. Yes, Ben had these issues. When you're young and you feel like you're invincible and you can get out of every tackle and you can make every play because that's what you've done all your life until you get to the NFL, it's a wake-up call. Look, we were not, 18 months, 12 months away from saying that Wentz is an MVP, NFL MVP candidate because of what he did in, abbreviated seasons. And it was the injury. But when he played, it was this. Now all of a sudden it's the worst thing. Look, a lot of the things he's doing is teachable. How many passes does he throw out of bounds? When other quarterbacks will just chuck it, knowing I'm not going to take the sack. The smart thing to do, throw it out of bounds. The smart thing to do is this. The smart thing to do is that. He's not doing it. He's young and inexperienced and feels that he can do everything. And that's his biggest downfall right now.
Listen, Tony, you compared Pittsburgh's Ben Roethlisberger. When has name me the running backs that Roethlisberger's had, the receivers that he had in the last couple of years. Arguably the best receiver in the league. Carson Wentz has never had these weapons. All due respect to Andrew saying it's not about the weapons. It absolutely has to do with playmakers on this team. Has to do with that.
I disagree. I do. Listen, here's my thing, and again, Mike, before we went on air, and I told Mike my line of thinking drastically changed because I sat there in week 2, and I watched guys like Justin Herbert, who is a rookie, okay, who found out he was starting a game 5 minutes before game time and threw for 312 yards, a touchdown and a pick. He has Keenan Allen. I get that. That's great. Okay, but my point is he was able to play well. Okay, Joe Burrow is able to play well. Jeff friggin' Driscoll came into a game for Denver, passed for 256 yards and a touchdown, and they almost beat Pittsburgh Steelers on the road. Okay, they almost did it. And Carson.
And Tom, what do all of them have in common?
Explain to me. What do they all have in common?
Every one of them has in common a running game that can keep a pass rush.
Stop.
Hold on. You asked the question. Let me finish.
Okay.
Denver. What do you mean Denver? They have Melvin Gordon.
So we don't have Miles Sanders. Now Miles Sanders sucks?
No. I'm not saying Miles Sanders sucks.
Okay, where's our running game?
How much did they utilize him?
4.9 yards a carry, 106 yards rushing.
Right, but how many times did he get the ball?
How many times did he get the ball?
Did he get the ball 25 times?
Right now. They ran the ball 27 times. 20 times with Miles Sanders, it's 5 times with Boston Scott, and 2 times with Corey Clement. So there's your friggin' running game.
Okay.
So what next?
And an offensive line that actually can pass block?
Carson got sacked how many times? 0. Against the Rams. 0. Lane Johnson was the number 2 ranked offensive tackle in week 2. But Carson doesn't have weapons. Dallas Goedert, Zach Ertz. I'll take any 2 of them over any of the tight ends.
It's not a question about weapons. It's not I don't think it's not. To me, it's not weapons.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Everybody's saying it's weapons. That's ridiculous.
J.J. Whiteside didn't catch the touchdown pass. Would DK Metcalf have caught that ball? He should have.
Whoa. Hold on. Because if Carson Wentz would have threw the ball when he was supposed to, JJ would have had a chance to catch the ball.
JJ went away from the football. The kid's not good enough.
Dave, I'm telling you, man.
I think this is a guy who is so shell-shocked at what happened to him in Washington that he may have been seeing ghosts on Sunday. Who knows? But when you're pulling out, Driscoll and Herbert, these are guys that have basically they're playing with house money because they're not expected to win. They go out there and they sling it all over the place. And if they throw 5 interceptions, so what? Nathan Peterman gets a guaranteed contract in the NFL. Carson is expected to win. And that's a difference.
Mike, I completely agree with you. Yes, those guys, they have nothing to lose. Look, all right, I got the light shining on me. I'm going to go out there and do what I do. Like, you know what I mean? There's not the pressure of an entire city, a team. It hasn't been going well. I mean, that's a lot of pressure. But, I just want to speak for the Pittsburgh Brass. If you guys are interested in trading Carson Wentz, I mean, I do believe the Steel City is going to be looking for a quarterback sooner.
See, but that's great because
give us Juju. We'll take it.
Here's the thing.
I'm in.
I think, John, you unintentionally stumbled onto something because I have friends, acquaintances, contacts, social media followers, whatever, that are fans of other teams that. They tell me that they would take Carson Wentz in a second. So, Tom, back to your point, though. When you say, is Jalen Hurts the right pick?
Yes.
Well, I will tell you he's absolutely the wrong pick in that spot because now guess what? Carson's looking over his shoulder when he probably shouldn't have to be.
Stop, man. Come on. So when Aaron Rodgers was drafted, Brett Favre was looking over his shoulder?
You could have got Bridgewater. You could have got this guy. You could have got guys.
And the fact of the matter is this. They probably could have gotten Jalen Hurts 2 rounds later and drafted one of the 75 linebackers that was available to them in round 2, and maybe they'd be able to stop the run a little bit.
And you know what? I believed that. I did until yesterday. Until I started to think about this. And think about this theory, fellas, seriously. And what's up, James? It's actually heat ratio. I get heat radio a lot, but it's actually heat ratio. What's up, buddy? Thanks for joining in. But listen, all I'm going to say is this is pure brilliance by Doug Pederson and Howie Roseman. And here is why. Because now they saved their jobs. Listen. I'm going to tell you something.
Who was the last Alabama or Oklahoma quarterback to excel in the NFL?
Yeah, hold on for a second.
I'll wait.
Recharge the headphones and relax, all right? Just hold on, okay? At the end of the day, listen. At the end of the day, I don't know what Jalen Hurts is going to be in the NFL with his arm.
He's going to be Baker Mayfield Part 2.
Okay? I understand that. But I'm going to tell you one thing. That if the Eagles start off 2-4, that Jalen Hurts is going to start. And I'm going to tell you something right now. If Jalen Hurts starts, Carson is never getting his job back. I'm telling you that right. I will go on record to say that right now. If Jalen Hurts, you know why, Mike? And here, honestly, this is why. Because I think that Doug Pederson had dreams about an offense he could formulate around Jalen Hurts. I think right now he's saying in the back of his mind, I'm good. If Carson doesn't work out, I say, listen, that's why I drafted Jalen Hurts, because I wasn't sure. That's why I drafted Dallas Goedert. I completely
disagree with
that. Listen, now I'm going to play
on a video clip. 128 million reasons why Jalen Hurts will not.
So listen, that doesn't mean anything in the NFL. Let's think about something real fast. Listen to this clip, and I'll tell you what I think about this. Okay, what I'm reading to this, and you guys think what you are.
Hey, Doug, you guys have sort of fallen into a bit of a hole the last 3 seasons now. I'm just curious, as the head coach, like mentally, is it a little bit exhausting for you to have to go through this again and deal with all of our questions as well?
Dealing with your questions are exhausting. That's what's exhausting. Handling the wins and losses, that's a little bit easier than handling your questions. But no, listen. Obviously, we get into this. This is a sport that I love. This is a sport I love. I love to play it, and now I love to coach it. And obviously, we get into this business to win, right? And obviously, I've been hired here to win championships and to win games. And
so, here's what I want to say, and I'll let you guys talk. I've been here. I've been hired to win games. Right? To me, that is the opening to say, listen, when I decide to put Jalen Hurts into the lineup, I'm going to say I'm trying to save my job, because I'm saying my job, if Carson looks like he does and does not progress at all and continues down this path and I don't make a change, I'm going to lose my job. So right now, he's saying right there, so when that question comes to him 7 weeks from now, if Jalen Hurts is starting to say, hey, listen, I need to win football games. I have a job to do. I have to put this team in the best position to win. Dave, I'm going to go right to you. Am I completely off base?
Yes.
Or what do you think?
I don't think Doug Pederson wanted to draft Jalen Hurts. You think that Doug Pederson wanted him on the team? I would say absolutely. Doug Pederson's a quarterback. Right? He loves Carson Wentz. He doesn't want to have Carson Wentz to answer Carson Wentz, say you got this guy looking over your shoulder. He never wanted that. I will guarantee you any amount of money that I have that Doug Pederson did not want Jalen Hurts at the 2nd pick. Maybe the 6th pick, 7th pick, whatever. But I think you're completely off base, and I would never think. The only way Jalen Hurts sees the field for the Eagles as quarterback is if Carson Wentz breaks his leg again, or something else happens to him where he can't play. There is no way that he is taking Carson's job.
I don't know.
Who gives you the best chance to win? Who gives you the best chance to win? Jalen Hurts or Carson Wentz?
I can tell you right now. Right now, it is still Carson Wentz. But if he continues down this path, listen, I'm telling you what, man, the Cincinnati game is going to be no joke. If people are taking this game lightly, they're out of their mind.
Well,
they're out of their mind. And I'll tell you what, if the Eagles start off 0-3, if they start off 0-3, they can easily, in this next stretch, go 2-7.
Yeah. Well,
right? And you're going to tell me that Carson's still going to be playing at 2-7.
I think he definitely plays, and I think also Jeffrey Lurie should be firing Howie Roseman and all his personnel people, and Jim Schwartz right next to it. Mike went nuts in the beginning of this thing talking about Schwartzy giving up touchdowns. I'll defend him. The Washington game, they gave up touchdowns at the beginning of the game because Carson threw interceptions. Last week's game, he let that kid with no feet stand in the pocket, didn't blitz, didn't cause pressure. He Swiss cheesed us. Jared Goff did, and Schwartz sat there and took it on the chin the whole day.
We're going to get to that, Dave, because I got a clip for you about Mr. Schwartz taking it on the chin. All right, we're going to get like that. But, John, honestly.
Real quick, before you go to John, I just want to touch on one thing that Dave said real quick. When Dave asked who gives you the best chance to win, I am in full agreement that it's Carson. To your point, why Jalen won't play? Because the NFC East is so mediocre that 9-7 is probably going to win you the division again. And if you don't, you won't see Jalen Hurts until the Eagles lose 8, 9, 10 games. Now, could that happen? Could that happen? Sure. Anything could happen. It's flipping 2020. But, I mean, I honestly think that until they are out of playoff contention, you got no shot at seeing Jalen Hurts.
So hold on, we got to get some comments. So we got Andrew checking in talking about Carson as a grown man, suck it up and play football. I agree. I got Paul checking in who agrees with me. Aaron Rodgers is playing fine after they picked his heir apparent, right? So he's not worried about Mr. Love. Right? He's not worried about that. Mike Check saying you need depth in places more to back. I agree with that. I 100%. Patrick McQueen was sitting there, right? I mean, the linebackers were sitting there right there for us in a position of need. I get it. I understand that. James Eagles don't know how to draft. I think we all know that. Carson Wentz behind the 49ers O-line equals Super Bowl champs. Pump the brakes a little bit. I don't know about that. Rick, my boy Rick checking in. Rick, Wentz has his faults, but if you can't be successful at Wentz, then the coach is the problem. That's the Brett Brown problem. That's the Brett Brown problem.
Thank you, Rick.
Right? And listen, Robert checks it again. I'll tell you what, if Wentz is the next member of the Heat Ratio, we got major problems on this show. Okay? Major, because with the amount of profanity Mike just used, and with Carson being a religious type man, Mike's in trouble. He's going to hell. But John, let's talk to you.
That's a given anyway.
So much, trust me. So we'll be there, brother. But John, seriously, listen. I know Mike checking out his comment. Everybody see him and Dave are nodding with the Wentz has his fault. You can't be successful with Wentz, and the coach is the problem. I still think we have a Doug Pederson problem, but I also think we have a Carson Wentz problem. I don't know, man. You are the voice of reason here. Before we move on to the next question, let me hear you elaborate your last saving grace to bring us all together here, John.
I had like 80 bazillion comments. Look, Jalen Hurts can come in to spell Wentz if he misses a game or two. Maybe he's right. You ride the hot hand. Jalen Hurts, you want to talk about the weapons that Carson Wentz doesn't have? Put Jalen Hurts at quarterback and see. Now, then you can talk about the weapons that he doesn't have. Carson Wentz makes his way. He makes Greg Ward look like he's a Pro Bowler. Okay, so and he's off the practice squad. So there's a big difference in there. Can Jalen Hurts come in relief and throw a little spice, like a poor passing Michael Vick? Yes, possibly. He is not taking Carson's job. Carson has the jitters or the shakes or I need to figure out that I'm not a young chick anymore and I got to be smarter with myself. Look, Roethlisberger was in motorcycle accidents thinking he could beat the world. I mean, it took him 5 mistakes that he probably would have got suspended for in today's NFL. But it took him that time to at least mature, and he's matured to a level where he can be an effective NFL quarterback. And I'll tell you what, half of Carson Wentz's issues are just decision-making, he's just not doing it. So there might not be separation with the receivers, but he should still be able to sling a ball in there tight. And if he can't do it, then send him to Pittsburgh.
That's it. I like that. That's a good way to segue right here, because listen, we're not going to fix this problem. It's going to continue to go on, but it definitely is going to have legs, and we're going to continue to talk about it. What I have to ask you, the word draft came up a lot. Okay. And I have to ask you guys, looking at this, did Chip Kelly actually have the best Eagles draft after all? I mean, remember, Lane Johnson, Zach Ertz, those 2 picks are pretty damn good. When you look at he was the guy who booted Howie into the corner of the NovaCare Center, right? And listen, obviously the Malcolm Smith, draft, that pick was a little bad, right? But still, Lane Johnson, Zach Ertz, I think they're probably the best, aren't they? Dave, what do you think?
Absolutely. Well, I mean, that was a 2013 draft, and I like the positions that he went, except for the 4th round. So the first 2 picks you said, Lane Johnson was the 4th overall. Zach Ertz came in the 2nd round of the 35th pick overall. Benny Logan was next at defensive tackle.
Yeah, I forgot LSU, right? I forgot about him.
And then Matt Barkley was your 4th round pick at quarterback, right?
Matt Barkley.
Hey, Matt Barkley has actually done some things in the NFL, though.
He stuck around for a little bit. And then you had your D-back. He took Earl Wolf, and then he took another defensive end, and then he took another D-back, and then he took another defensive end. So to talk about your recipe here of what to do, I think the positions that he had in play here, I like what he did. Obviously, that draft pick, because he addressed offensive line and defensive line and a couple D-backs in between. And look at our holes that we have now. So I mean, it was a pretty good draft. Those 2 you definitely hit on, possible Hall of Famers, right?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we talk about the 2017 draft being completely trash, right? I mean, it was basically what we didn't even need to show up that year, obviously, because it was terrible. But yeah, I mean, Mike, think about that. I mean, that's a pretty good damn draft from Chip Kelly, who's not here right now.
No, it absolutely is. It's odd though, because you referenced the Marcus Smith pick, and
I said Malcolm Smith.
Yeah. I knew who you meant though, and it's weird because Chip had this thing where anybody who had played quarterback at one time was on his radar because he felt like they had the intelligence and they got it. I mean, even Lane Johnson at one point was a quarterback, and I think that there are certain merits to that. And when you talk about the guys that he drafted, I mean, other than Marcus Smith, he did draft fairly well. I have to believe that Marcus Smith and Danny Watkins are probably the 2 biggest busts that this team has ever drafted.
John Harris.
I like John Harris.
John Harris has to be up there too, man.
Yeah, he's probably up there too. Yeah, it's funny though how people rip on Mike Mamola, but if you look at Mamola's numbers compared to some of these other guys, it's not even close.
And Mike Mamola showed up every week.
He did.
Yeah, that is true. That is at 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I give Chip all the credit in the world. He was a better drafter and a better offensive scheme guy, I think, than a lot of people give him credit for. It's just a lot of the weird, nuanced kind of stuff that rubbed people the wrong way, and it followed him to San Francisco, and now it's followed him to UCLA.
Egotistical. That's what it was. It was ego.
Absolutely.
100%. John, what's up, buddy? What were you going to say?
No, you can't consistently have bad draft years. You can have a bad draft year. You know what I mean? Like that's fine. Things don't necessarily pan out. You maybe get a guy, But you can't go 2 straight years without getting any guys pan out. I mean, 2014 and 2015, there really wasn't much there. Like Nelson Aguilar, who's not even on the team, it couldn't have been that good, There was nothing.
But Nelson was a huge part of 2017. Huge part.
I know.
Right? So you have to at least say that.
He was on the team for how many years, and he had a good season that 1 year. So, yes, if you want to believe that it was him and his skill, I'm not saying that I would trade him. Look, if it's give me this guy and he gets me a Super Bowl, I'm all in, no doubt. But you can't tell me that guy got you the Super Bowl. Dude, Philadelphia was running him out of town going into the season. Nelson Aguilar was the biggest turd in Philadelphia going in there. So I'm just saying, and he had one season. Don't act. I'm just saying that's polishing a turd for your gem from that draft class.
Hey, Tom, can I touch on something Dave just said real quick? Or John just said? So, John, you make the point about Aguilar and the turd and being run out of town. And we were talking earlier about Carson's quote-unquote regression. Can we talk about the fact that he literally put game-winning touchdowns in Nelson's hands twice last year, and they were dropped? He also put game-winning touchdowns in Goddard's and J-Jaw's hands in the same game last year, and they were dropped.
That's all irrelevant.
I mean, no, but it is, but it's not in the sense that when we're talking about guys like Aguilar, now, and I'm not even going back to Carson here. What I'm saying is that we're talking about guys like Aguilar, and eventually we're going to wind up having the same discussion on J-Jaw. It is like Aguilar, he goes to Las Vegas and people are crowning him. In 2 games, he's 2 for 42. But people are crowning him because he caught a touchdown pass that any rookie wide receiver would have caught.
Did anybody see Amari Cooper's catch?
Yes, I did see Amari Cooper's catch.
Man, he would look good in the Eagles helmet. You don't think he would help our quarterback?
They tried. They
did not try. They did not try.
Listen.
So they tried to sign him as a free agent. They just didn't try hard enough.
I listen, we could sit here and talk about drop balls. We could sit here and talk about bad routes. We could sit here and talk about everything, but every quarterback deals with that. At the end of the day, my final point is, at the end of the day, when you are paid 140, 150, 160, whatever it is, $1 million, okay, you are paid to be the guy. You are paid to jump through every friggin' obstacle in front of you. That's what you're paid to do. Listen, Russell Wilson, before he had a tremendous class of receivers, he was made to go through obstacles and be the guy. Donovan McNabb, before he got T.O., was made to be the guy, right? They're made to be. This is your choice. You want to get paid. Patrick Mahomes has a ton of weapons. I understand that. But Patrick Mahomes is paid to be the guy. Is anybody going to question Patrick Mahomes? Right? No. You know why? He's not going to give him a reason to question. He's going to make shit happen. That's what he's going to do. And that's what Carson's not doing right now. Maybe Carson, I said this last week, it just comes down to this, guys. Maybe Carson's just not that guy. Maybe Carson does need the supporting cast. Carson can't do it all on his own. And in my opinion, that's a problem, especially when you paid him to play like that. That's who you paid him to be.
Russell Wilson had a tremendous running game for years and an unbelievable defense. And who was the other quarterback you said? You said a couple, but who was the one before Russell Wilson?
Patrick Mahomes.
Well, his offense is unbelievable.
Right.
There's another one.
I get it. I said if he didn't have the offense.
There's another one that you said.
Who else did I say? I don't even know. I went on a rampage.
How's Dak Prescott with all his weapons and everything else that he's got? How would you rate him as a quarterback compared to Carson Wentz? Who's better?
Right now, it's Dak Prescott.
You would take
Dak Prescott threw for 4,902 yards last year.
So lining up for the Eagles
yards multiple times.
So lining up for the Eagles next week, you would rather have Dak Prescott than Carson
right now?
Wentz.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Yes. Right now, absolutely.
I'd say
absolutely.
No, if you're talking in week 3, yes, I want Dak Prescott.
Thank you, John.
In an Eagles uniform over Carson Wentz. No way.
I want to know when Carson Wentz is going to realize what his mistakes have been in the past 2 weeks and fix them. They're his mistakes. Look, I'm not saying the game plan's the greatest by any means, but what I'm saying is he needs to fix his mistakes by trying to do too much.
I like it. And before we end the Eagles segment, I got a little trivia. Play a little Eagles trivia right now. See if I could stump the boys or stump the audience here. A little Eagles trivia right now. And this will be a sponsored segment in the next couple weeks. Of Eagles players with over 400-yard attempts, who has the best yards per rush average of all time? Philadelphia Eagles. Does anybody have a guess? Dave, do you have a guess?
Timmy Brown.
No. John, do you have a guess?
I'm going to go Ricky Waters.
No. Mike, do you have a? Are you the 100 millionaire?
Donovan McNabb.
No. Close.
Michael Vick.
Well, I'm going to leave it go for a little bit. I'm going to leave it go and see if any of the audience, because people are probably going to Google now. But I don't even know if you could Google this, to be honest with you, because you'd have to know what to Google. So I'm curious to see if somebody come up with this. So we're going to come back to this, but none of us got the right answer.
Can we have a second? Can we have a second guess?
Can we have a second? Well, let's move on to a little Phillies action, and then we'll move back to this Eagles trivia. But before we go to the Eagles, one last thing on the NFL, I want to ask you guys how many watched the game last night, because again, it just basically cemented my love for John Gruden. And honestly, I can't say enough of it. I wish he was the Eagles head coach. I clamored for him, but he told me I was wrong. The guy loves the game, man. He loves the game. And I don't know if you guys seen the little love fest between him and Mike Mayock at the end of the game, which was fantastic. Just showed two kind of Philly guys that have been here and just hugging it out and with the man love on the field, because they have the passion. They want to make this team successful. So I just think it was great. I loved watching that game last night. I loved watching him adjust and basically take what the defense gave him and make it Darren Waller a focal point, something that Doug doesn't know how to do. But we're going to get back to this trivia question a little bit. But again, as we were on the air, the Phillies playoff hopes all but gone. Okay, get swept. Okay, and I have to ask, before we get to the Phillies, let me ask you this. Okay, so this kind of goes to the same guidelines as the Philadelphia Eagles, because we're talking about who's to blame. Is it Carson Wentz? Is it Doug Pederson? I mean, or is it Howie Roseman? So when you look at this Phillies team, and a lot of people have been questioning certain things that Joe Girardi does, which I think are ridiculous, because, listen, Joe Girardi was handed this team. He made a couple moves, with Didi and things of that nature, but this wasn't assembled by Joe Girardi, and I think Joe Girardi was doing his best to keep it intact. So I do not blame this on Joe whatsoever. So do you blame this more at Klentak, or do you blame this more on the players themselves? Specifically the guys in the bullpen that seems like they forgot how to pitch, and guys like Aaron Nola, who once again does not show up when we need him. So, you know what, John, I haven't started with you first. I'm going to go right to John on this. I owe you shaking your head a little bit. What do you think about this ultimate collapse, John?
This isn't Girardi.
I agree.
We talked a little bit off air about other things, and it was about chasing stats. And I'm not saying, I mean, you have guys that you bring in and you think they're going to be the savior of the bullpen. I mean, they brought in 3 guys, right? Workman. They brought in Phelps. They brought in, who was the third guy? Well, there was another guy they brought in. Yeah, Embry. Right.
Embry.
So you bring these guys in, and I mean, relievers some years, man, they'll have a 4 ERA. The next year they have a 1 ERA. Then maybe they have another 1, and then they go back up to 3.5. Look, they tried making the right moves. They thought they made the right moves. The bullpen got here. I don't know if there's something in the Gatorade jug back in the bullpen or what's going on, but the bullpen's a problem. I mean, we kind of knew what the rotation was going to be. We were pretty look, even Nola Blow in this one or whatever, we know what Nola's going to be. We were pretty confident that Wheeler was a good signing. There was Arrieta, which nobody really likes better than a 3, more like a 4 in questions. So it's kind of what we thought it was. It was just we hoped that when they brought in that relief pitching help, that it actually would have been help, and it was just more of the same. It's not on Girardi. He can't go out and make these guys pitch well. I mean, that's just the bottom line.
I agree with you. But, didn't Klentak sign a guy like David Robertson, who ultimately got injured, who should have been in that bullpen? You had Sir Anthony Dominguez, who gets hurt, that should have been in that bullpen. I mean, I'm not saying it would have drastically changed it, but what I'm saying is, again, I think we've all talked about this, and I know guys like Ranger Schwartz has actually pitched pretty well at times, but this ultimately comes down to you not being able to draft well and not being able to produce your own homegrown talent, who most of the time start in the bullpen. So I think that's been a big issue. Dave, what do you think here with the Phillies?
Man, I hate to sound like a broken record, but a lot the same problems with the Eagles, right? Their inability to hit on draft picks, to build a farm system. Mickey Moniak, are you serious? Like that? I mean,
he can't even play the outfield.
What I mean, he looks like a 17-year-old kid, and
well, they drafted him when he was 17.
Well, he still looks 17.
I know, it's crazy.
How long ago was that? I mean, it's
3.5 years ago. Yeah,
he looks like a baby still. You're supposed to be, this is a number 1 draft pick in Major League Baseball. So I don't get it, man. And here's the other thing: we're dangling Realmuto out there, and I know this is kind of off the track here, but you have Sixto Sanchez. You had a left-hander, Will Stewart, and Jorge Alfaro, part of that trade. And if you do not sign Realmuto, you should be run out of town completely.
So that brings us up right before Mike talks, because that brings us right to that. And I want to go right to Mike with this one. I want you to hear this quick 15-second clip, because I'm thinking, Dave, along your lines, it sounds like Matt Klentak's already setting us up for the letdown with JT, because he was asked about this other day, and this was his response. Tell me what this means. When you got actually no, you know what? We'll talk about that. I actually got to throw this in here real fast, but it almost sounds like he's setting us up to say, you know what, it's not going to happen. Here you go. What do you guys think?
I mean, look, I think what I've said all along is, we would love to have JT here, but when you make that trade, you're trading for 2 years of control, and that. So, Sixto looked really good against us. He's looked good this year, but we've had 2 very productive years of JT as well.
I mean, Mike, right there. I mean, he's basically saying, listen, we had 2 years of control. That's what we did. I mean, is he setting us up to basically say, look, I don't think this is going to happen? What do you think?
I don't know that he's saying it's not going to happen, because I do think that they are going to continue to try, but it is damage control. It's absolutely 100% damage control.
Somebody should have threw a D battery right across his head.
Yeah, he's trying to soften the blow should they not be able to get it done.
Yeah, listen, it was 100% damage control. I completely agree.
Can we go back to the Moniak thing for a minute, though?
Sure.
Because I do kind of, in a sense, feel bad for that kid, because he had – but, I mean, hear me out on this for a second, Dave. There is no way that he should have been drafted anywhere near the top 10, but the Phillies had it set in their head, because they had the first pick in the draft, that if they could get anybody that was projected to be a top 15 guy on the cheap, they could then go back in round 2 and offer Kevin Gowdy a big enough signing bonus that he would skip college and sign with the Phillies. So Mickey Moniak, in every sense of the word, is kind of like a little bit of a baseball whore. He took the money in exchange for being the number 1 overall draft pick, got undercut by probably $2.5, $3 million on the signing bonus, specifically so the Phillies could take that $2.5, $3 million and entice Kevin Gowdy to not go to college. And then Kevin Gowdy winds up blowing out his arm. So
I never blame the kid. I'm not blaming the kid.
No, I know, but there's a lot of people that just want to hammer the kid and say, oh, he's a number 1 overall pick. He should be better than he is. Well, he is what he is. And if you want to blame anybody for drafting him number 1 overall, you blame the front office.
Sure.
Yeah.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah, no, it's a pawn in the game. I mean, they do that. There are teams that are purposely looking at drafting guys that they're not going to sign.
Right.
Well, the biggest fear I have is exactly what James just checked in and said, that JT will be in a Mets uniform next year. And I'll tell you what,
that if he doesn't re-sign with the Phillies, the Mets is almost a given.
And that is horrible. That can't happen.
Dude, wait. You know what? I want to ask you guys this because, look, you guys are way more Phillies fans than I am. Like, I love the Phils, I will say, because I don't have much to root for. But but in all reality, I'm going to ask you this: when you talk about the player in the position, who other than potentially Nola, Wheeler, I guess, and Bryce Harper, who could you say is more important to the Phillies? And even if you want to put JT up there, I mean, he's calling the pitching games. Like, he's putting up catcher stats that are, you know what I mean? That's outfield like or first baseman like or pick an all-star from any field position on top of what he does behind the plate. Where does he rank as
No, you're spot on, John. He's the most important player on this team.
Number 1 over Harper.
It's a great question. It's a great question. He is the most important player on this team. More important than Nola, more important than Wheeler, more important than Harper.
Well, I completely agree.
He's the leader, man. He's the catcher. Yep. They're the captains of the team. If they're worth their salt a little bit, and he's obviously a stud, correct?
100%.
He is the leader of the club.
Well, and think about the catching position. You go around the National and the American League. I mean, this isn't back in the day where you had these all-star catchers with through every single division. I mean, they're far and few between. And if anybody, John, you play daily fantasy, you start setting that lineup up. The catcher's the last miss you put in. I mean, very rarely do you see a couple above a 4,000 or 5,000 draw. So, I mean, listen, it's to the Buster Posey effect. I mean, Buster Posey was that guy for X amount of years. I mean, Yadier Molina was that guy, but he really wasn't the bat, right? He wasn't the bat like JT is right now. So JT is very unique. I can't listen. I don't know about you guys. What will you guys say? And again, an ad lib here, but who was the last catcher that was this lethal offensively that you can remember that did both? Because was it Pudge? Was it Ivan Rodriguez? Maybe I don't know.
Mike Piazza?
It's Piazza. Yeah. I agree with you, Dave. It's Piazza.
But how about a guy who wasn't on roids?
Piazza defensively is not like Utah.
How about a guy who wasn't on roids, though? Everybody.
Wait a minute. Wait.
I'm not allowed to pick Barry.
You think Barry should be in the Hall of Fame?
Yes, right there, buddy. Right there.
You're going to rip Piazza for the roids?
Yeah, because he's in. That's why I think Barry should be in. Because he's in. Jeff Bagwell. Right. Jeff Bagwell's in there, too. He's roided up, too.
Up on that one. I give you 2 thumbs up.
No, wait. Hey, we're bringing up old school. Let me ask you this in all seriousness. What about Salvador Perez?
From the Royals?
That's a good answer.
Yeah, but consistency, though.
You want to talk about consistency? Look at his stats for the past 7 years. He will throw runners out. He calls a good pitching game. Do you really think that the Royals had a good pitching staff? Are you kidding me? Like this guy, I'm just saying. Like,
Perez is a good guy. I'm with you there.
Piazza was a masher. Like, there's no doubt. I don't know how good his game calling game was per se. I'm not saying it was bad, but he was more known for his bat than his pitch calling. So I'm going Sal Perez, truthfully.
I like that. I was gonna jump in with Mike Lieberthal, but I think I'm gonna be way off base.
So let me ask you guys a quick question.
Yeah.
Because I just saw James's comment kind of flash across the bottom of the screen there. Let's say John Middleton has to again handle negotiations on his own. And he goes to JT and basically just says, listen, Klentak's gone, McPhail's gone. What does it take to keep you here? If John Middleton offers him a blank check, do you think he stays? Or is it just to the point now where he's like, man, F this, 2 years it was fun, but I'm out? What do you guys think?
I'll go first, and I'll say I think he's out. I do. I think Bryce
with
Harper.
A blank check, you think he's out?
I do.
Okay.
I think Bryce Harper.
Jimmy Butler.
Well, you know what it is. I think Harper will make the attempt to try to talk to him, but to see how. Listen, it's embarrassing. The simple fact that you have Bryce Harper, who you paid all this money for, and said that, Bryce, we're going to do everything we can to be competitive, that you have him holding up signs to sign JT. You have the fandemic fans blowing horns and shit, in a blank stadium saying, we need to sign a catcher. I mean, it's embarrassing. That's going to be embarrassing for JT Realmuto. So if I'm JT, I'm saying screw the Phillies. If they want to play games, I'm out. I don't care what. I'm out. I'm gone. I'm already gone. To me, I think he's already gone. I hate to say it. I just think he's already out. Just my opinion. Dave, what do you think?
I got one reason why he'll stay. Joe Girardi.
Oh, that's okay.
That's
good. That's good. I like that.
He's a player's coach. He's a catcher. He knows he'll be protected and taken care of. And if the Phillies do a couple things, I mean, they can buy some players to help become a winning program. I mean, they need an ace pitcher. We've talked about it before. Aaron Nola is not an ace. Aaron Nola is a stud.
I agree.
But Aaron Nola is not an ace.
Nope.
So, what did the Nationals do when Strasburg was injured in the beginning of his career? He wasn't as consistent. What did the Nationals do? They signed
Max Scherzer.
And that was brilliant, right? I mean, they're the things that you need to do in order to become these championship teams. We're not going to get it homegrown, so they have to spend the money. And JT, definitely, that has to get done. If it doesn't get done, and this town doesn't go in an uproar and get rid of Klentak and whoever else is on that management board, they have 17,000 owners over there. It goes back to the same things. It's unfortunate that our programs are in disarray right now.
It really is. It's a shame. Our buddy Rick checking in said Van Brocklin, since you said close with McNabb. So our trivia question, but no, that is not it as well. So if anybody, and we'll go back to it again. If anybody can grab this, let us know. Eagles trivia of Eagles players with over 400-yard attempts. Who has the best yards per rush average? It's not Ricky Waters. It's not Brown. It's not McNabb. It's not Van Brocklin. So keep those guesses coming.
John, blank check. Does he stay?
See, he's like.
That says it all.
I know, right?
No.
See, he's.
No, what it comes down to is you don't know what his day-to-day is. You don't know what the clubhouse is. If there's a reason for him not to stay, he's out. If there's a reason for him to stay, he's there. You know what I mean? If he's that buddy with Girardi or Harper or whatever it is, or he enjoys where he's at, he thinks there's something going, great. If there's something like Jimmy Butler had with the Sixers, where there was just something, I smell something fishy. I don't know what it is. I don't know if there's a dead rat in the corner or something, but it don't smell right. I'm out. You know what I mean? And right. I seriously think that's what it is. Yes, Girardi being an ex-catcher. I mean, look, he knows he runs the market. It's about where he wants to be comfortable. Is he comfortable in this spot, in this town, doing what he does? There's no question on his skills. I mean, in all reality, does he want, and I'm putting it out there, Does he want to go to the LA Dodgers to play catcher, to be batting number 7 potentially and win a World Series? Yeah, possibly. I don't know. Or would he rather be batting like the guy that crushes it in Philadelphia and gets a championship like, I run this team. This is my team, not me and 7 other guys. So, and I think he's young enough. Look, when he's 33, he might make a different decision. Right now, I would love to see him make his mark in Philly, and I think it can still happen, yes.
I sure hope so. I do, but one of those guys all 3 of you guys alluded to was a Jimmy Butler effect. Okay, what segues us right in to the 76ers coaching search, and one of the guys who falls off the list is Billy Donovan, a guy I was on my list, man. He was high on my list. I like Billy Donovan. I thought he would have been a really good fit here for the Philadelphia 76ers. It seems like they have a very narrow list from what I'm hearing. From Tyronn Lue to Mike D'Antoni, and maybe a couple others. I'm starting to hear the Alvin Gentry name being floated around a little bit. So really not sure what they're looking for. But Dave, come to you. Obviously they wanted to hire D'Antoni a few years back, and it didn't happen. He goes and he works with Houston for a while. And now he's free again. I'm not a D'Antoni guy, never been a D'Antoni guy. I don't think he fits this team whatsoever. I really don't understand it. I'm a Jason Kidd guy. I'm a Mark Jackson guy. I'm a Nate McMillan guy. I like those names. I'm not a Tyronn Lue guy. Dave, if you're top 2, if I ask you your top 2, and what's your opinion? Before you give your top 2, what's your opinion of right now of what the 76ers are doing as far as their coaching search?
I honestly don't know what they're doing. The guy that they're supposed to get just left. That was I had my eggs all in that basket, and I don't even know what to tell you because all the other guys that you just D'Antoni does. You see you later, Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons, because that's not our system.
No,
Billy Donovan, he coached in college, right? We know what he did in Florida, and I think he would have been better suited to take care of some of these young attitudes on this team and get them to play along. Now, in my opinion, you're going to have to go a different direction and get an older possible ex-player and not Tyronn Lue. Please, not Tyronn Lue. I don't. Does anybody want him to be a Sixers coach?
No. A lot of people do, not me.
Are they from Philly?
Yes.
They're you know what? Stop watching the game. Stop.
Yep.
Stop watching the game.
Yep.
Stop listening.
Thank you, Dave.
Get lost. So
get.
I don't get it. I don't know what they're doing.
Yeah, I don't understand it either, man. What? And you know what? Just for the simple fact that it's going to be embarrassing. That even if I don't care how good Tyronn Lue is, the biggest image of Tyronn Lue, he could have 12 rings, is always going to be getting stepped over by AI. That's not who I want as my head coach. It's just not who I want. I'm sorry. I think he was a puppet in Cleveland. People can say what they want, right? And I don't want that here. I want somebody to stand up. I want somebody to be a disciplinarian. I want somebody to teach these young guys how to play. And I that's why I like Jason Kidd. That's why I like Mark Jackson. Nate McMillan got such a raw deal in Indiana, which I don't understand why. I like Nate too. I like these guys. Even if you want to bring in a Dawn Staley or a Becky Hammond, give me something different, please, with the Tyronn Lue. I don't want to see Tyronn Lue here. Mike, what are you thinking, buddy?
I'm sorry, Mike.
Go ahead, Dave. What's up?
Mark Jackson, to me, I've been talking about Mark Jackson for a while. I don't know why he's not coaching another team. There's something there. He has a problem somewhere where there's a disconnect where Mark Jackson hasn't been back coaching another team. I don't know if it's that he chose not to.
No, that's ESPN money.
Well, that's what I'm saying. He chose not to for other reasons.
He's getting paid out the wazoo by ESPN and ABC.
So, my pipe dream of a coach would be somebody like Tim Duncan. And I know that's pie in the sky, but I just think that would be an unbelievable opportunity for the Sixers. But other than that, Tony, I've been pushing for Mark Jackson for a couple years now.
James Sexton, as a Bulls fan, he says he's happy Billy chose the Bulls, shows the Bulls want to finally win because Billy wouldn't have signed with the Bulls. I agree. Bulls have a nice young team out there. They do. So good for Billy, man. It's a good spot for him. So, Mike, what's going on with the Sixers, man? What are you thinking?
Well, I think you guys know where I'm at. I mean, I've been on the Mark Jackson train pretty much since day one. I mean, I threw it out there early on and said the three guys that I really wanted the Sixers to take a look at were Mark Jackson, David Fizdale, who is still available.
Yep.
And the thing with David Fizdale is he knows how to take a point guard and a center and make them work together, which is what this team needs. So I like Mark Jackson a lot. I've been on that train since the beginning. I like David Fizdale. Former Kings coach Dave Yerger is still out there. I'm interested. I won't say intrigued, but I'm interested with Jason Kidd. But the longer this goes on, Tone, the more I'm thinking that is there a possibility, and this is total pie in the sky.
I know where you're going.
Is there a possibility that these egomaniacal 76ers owners are trying to scrape up enough money to lure Phil out of retirement?
You imagine? Could you imagine?
I would love it.
Oh, so would I. I mean, the Zen Master in Philadelphia? Are you kidding me? That would be fantastic. I don't care how old he is.
Spectacular.
Oh, I would love it. I would love it. I mean, that would be the ultimate. The ultimate. You know what? I think these owners are too dumb to even do something like that. I think they are. I think they are.
I don't disagree with you. I don't. But they do have enough money that if they wanted to, they could.
Yes, they do have enough money to scrape together if they want to. They could. I just don't see them being smart enough to even go after that. And I'll be honest with you, I honestly think there's a huge power struggle going on with Elton Brand and these owners, because I think when that came out 2 weeks ago, when a report came out by John Johnson on WIP, who I respect John. John gets a lot of things right. And John said from all his sources tell him Tyronn Lue set to be the coach of the Philadelphia 76ers. And all of a sudden, it went away. I think that was Elton Brand's pick. And I think the owners were like, whoa, that's not happening. And all of a sudden, everything had to be retracted. We haven't heard anything for 2 weeks.
It's interesting that you said that, though, because it was Tyronn Lue set to be the next head coach of the 76ers. And then all of a sudden, it was Mike D'Antoni's job to lose. And now we don't hear about D'Antoni anymore either. So what the hell's going on there?
There's something weird going on within this organization, and it's not good. And it needs to be fixed. It does. It's not good. It needs to be fixed. And I'm going to go right to John with this question, because what keeps coming up is how can the Sixers get better? How can they change? Because once they get a coach, they have to figure it out. And they're talking about listen, I've seen some ridiculous trade scenarios. I love CP3. I'm a huge Chris Paul guy. I think he's done right now. I do. I don't think he has much left. He tries like hell, but I just don't think he's there. And I'm not trading Matisse Thybulle. I'm not doing it. So, and he's been involved in every single one of these trade scenarios. So, John, trade for CP3. Does a trade like that help or hurt this team? Or do you even think it's possible? Or would you rather see him go after a guy like Drew Holiday or Buddy Hield?
It doesn't hurt the team, but I'm not giving up Thybulle.
Right. Exactly.
He's too young. This may be one of those guys that you actually hit on in the draft recently. I mean, look, there was the process and everything. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about these other positional players that they've had for the past, couple years. No, absolutely, you don't give him up. And yes, I will take any three of them, but I am not giving up probably the best defensive guy on the team.
I agree. I would not give up. Dave, you feel the same way?
Yeah, I'm not giving up Thybulle for CP3. I don't want CP3. That's not your answer.
No, it's not. I know they're trying to do, and the CP3 thing is what keeps bringing me back to the D'Antoni thing. So, I think they're tied together. I do. I think, it's like Mike D'Antoni, if it's his job to lose, goes in there and says, well, I want Chris Paul. And now the scenarios start coming about, well, how do we get Chris Paul on this team? How do we get D'Antoni and match him up with Chris Paul? Because I honestly think there's no other reason why this conversation even comes to fruition without Mike D'Antoni being a part of it 100%. So, Mike, do you agree with that?
I'm right on board with all you guys. I have no interest in CP3, no interest in Mike D'Antoni.
What about if you get D'Antoni and the situation comes up, the scenario plays out that we get D'Antoni and the trade goes Ben Simmons for James Harden?
Wow. I'll tell you, ready? I'll tell you this. I would trade Joel for James Harden.
Ooh.
I'll keep Ben and trade Joel. I'll do that yesterday.
Now that's more of D'Antoni's style.
So I'm just laughing at this because I'm thinking in my head, it's a great question by Dave, but if you think Joel and Ben can't play well together, you try putting Harden and Joel together.
John, you're already shaking your head, man. You're shaking your head. What's the head shake for?
Oh, dude, all those combinations gave me heartburn. I don't know. None of it sound good. Why can't we just get like Craig Eglow to be a player coach, and just start shooting threes and coaching the game? Dude, take his suit coat off, go in there with his uni and do his thing.
Man, let's get all the famous white guys that shot out from the court. Get Mark Price in there. Get Craig, Dan Marley, Thunder Dan. Get them all in there, man.
No, dude, I'm in on Craig Hodges too.
Oh, we get Hodgie. We get Hodgie in there.
Hey, look at all the 3-point championship shooters. Bring one of them guys in from 20 years ago. They can still shoot the rock.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, it'd probably be the best shooter we have because Tobias Harris absolutely sucks. So it doesn't matter. We're paying him a shitload of money.
Craig Hodges won a 3-point contest as a free agent. He wasn't even on a team, and they invited him back.
That was great.
I remember that.
That was great.
Yep.
I'll tell you, that was when the 3-point contest was legit, man.
Yeah.
That was when you look for. Remember those days, man? You guys we're all around the same age. I'll tell you what, I could not wait for All-Star Weekend back then, man. That was like the slam dunk contest, the 3-point contest was like, I had sleepovers over that, man. I mean, that was legit, man. Remember those days?
I still remember Dominique versus Jordan in the slam dunk contest. Like that was like iconic. And they just played it again this past All-Star Weekend. And, having my kids watch it too, it's like, wow, these guys are pretty impressive.
You know what, Dave, I actually taped those when they are. I taped those.
I got a beta? John still got a VHS in the house.
No, I DVR'd it whenever I saw them on. They had dunk, like all the, and it was right in that time frame. And I taped them. I couldn't get any kid to watch the damn things with me. So
I have a trivia question for you guys.
A new one?
So of this modern era of dunk contests, who won the first NBA slam dunk contest as we know it?
Dr. J?
No. Dr. J was defeated in the finals by this person.
Larry Nance?
Larry Nance.
Yes. There you go. Awesome job, boys.
Sorry, Dave.
Weird random trivia question. The last ABA slam dunk contest, Dr. J was defeated by David Thompson.
Ooh.
And the first NBA slam dunk contest, Dr. J was defeated by Larry Nance.
Wow.
Doc taking it on the chin.
I'll tell you, I remember it's not even vaguely. I remember vividly the 3-point contests with like Kenny Skywalker, Cedric Sabalas with the blindfold, D Brown pumping up the Reebok pumps. Like, it's amazing what you remember because listen, I mean, that was part of our game back then, man.
Spud Webb. Go back to the one Spud Webb was in.
Spud Webb.
Him and Dominic went back to back. Hey, coming from Pittsburgh, you have no teams. The Hawks were my team, man, back in the day.
That was Lenny Wilkins.
Wait,
dude,
you weren't a fan of the Pittsburgh Pisces?
No. Dude,
I
had so many.
The fish that say Pittsburgh.
No. You know what? I don't even think I watched that movie until 20 years after it came out.
Nice.
Dude, I tell you what, woodshop and art class back in the day, it was the Hawks. All about
the
Spud
Hawks.
and Dominique were my two.
That was my guys. That was Lenny Wilkins, right? Lenny Wilkins was the coach.
Yes.
Yeah. A Hall of Famer.
Yes.
Hall of Famer. There's another there. Bring him out of, well, he'd have to rise him from the dead, but bring him out of retirement, right?
I thought the wildest thing in a dunk contest that at least that I can remember seeing was all 6'11" of Tom Chambers going up, and like his chest was at the rim when he threw it down, and I'm like, ooh.
That was scary too, because that was back in the day where the shorts were so small, his balls were probably hanging out of his shorts when he jumped up.
That's a big boy with a ton of hops.
Yeah, it's a ton of hops. You're right, and a trunk hanging down at the top of the net. So that's you know what I mean. I'm just saying.
I got nothing on that, man. Yeah. I got nothing on that.
I'm probably not. Man, I hear you. Listen, hey, real fast before we get out of here, Mike, you brought it up last week. A little fantasy recap, and we all play fantasy. We all have some fun, and I'll tell you, week two was some guys who just absolutely fell off a cliff. Some guys who really were a shock to me. Me personally, one of my lowest point getter was Nyheim Hines. Nyheim, can't catch Hines. All of a sudden, he gets one catch. I talk him up, and all of a sudden he gets 8 catches to 1, which I don't know what the hell happened to him. And then you got a guy, me and John talked off air, James Robinson, who, for the Jacksonville Jaguars, who all of a sudden, man, just looks like he's legit. He's absolutely legit and can be serviceable. So, hey, Mike, what about you? Who was your number one guy this weekend, and who was your number one bust?
Well, my number one bust is easy. In both the leagues that I play, it's Saquon Barkley. 2.8 points before leaving with a season-ending injury. And that's going to hurt me in 2 separate leagues. But the one league, I had a very, very strong Thursday night showing from Nick Chubb. Unfortunately, it was not enough because I did wind up getting pounded in that league. The other league, I got huge performances out of Stephon Diggs and Darren Waller. But my opponent on Monday night had Josh Jacobs. So I was leading by literally 0.15 of a point until Oakland got the ball back with the lead and decided to run the clock out. And Josh Jacobs, being the bell cow back, put it away, and I wound up losing by like 2.5 points.
Oh, that's a hurt piece right there. Hey, John, remember Stephon Diggs? Remember I said he was going to be a top 7 receiver? I'm just saying. Remember, everybody said I was crazy.
That's why I drafted him.
Everybody said Tony was crazy. Jigsaw crazy. Remember that?
If I got Stephon Diggs, I'm trading him like a hotcake.
Oh, Johnson, he's selling high. Selling high. How about you, John? How'd your weekend go?
Weekend went good. Let me just finish that by Josh Allen is not going to be a perennial 300-yard or I don't know what you call
729 yards in 2 weeks.
He will not be a weekly 300-yard passer. So that's why I'm saying sell on Diggs. So far, so good. Look, my big thing, I will tell you, probably for the first time in at least 20 years, I started 2 running backs from the same damn team.
Wow.
Baltimore?
I did not want to start Melvin Gordon against the Pittsburgh D. I had Lev Bell out on IR. So I'm saying, like, you're running thin. And I said, you know what? I would rather limit my floor and cap my ceiling by going with Chubb and Hunt.
Wow.
Knowing that if one does good, the other one won't. If the other one does good, vice versa. And it just so happened that they racked up 200-plus yards on the ground. Both got touchdowns, got me my carry bonus. Mm-hmm. So props to the coach on starting 2 Cleveland Brown running backs.
Look at you.
Which will not happen again for the history of my fantasy career.
Props to Coker. I love it. What about you, Dave?
What do you want me to tell you?
Who was your was it that bad of a week?
I won this week. We won
That's
this.
all.
I won this week, but McCaffrey's hurt, and Lev Bell are hurt. So I got 2 of my top 3 picks out. Kareem Hunt, I do have, and he had a big day for me. D Hop, I mean, he's killing it for me.
Mm-hmm.
Drew Brees is my quarterback. Darren Waller is my tight end. Had a nice day. So I got to figure out. I think I just picked up, or I heard that Coleman was picked up by the Giants for Barkley.
Freeman.
Devontae Freeman. So we put in for free agency on him. I'm in need of a running back right now because my 2 top guys are hurt. I do have Kareem Hunt. And John, what is your opinion on this one? I did pick up DeAndre Swift too for Detroit, the rookie.
Hey, as long as he can catch a ball, he might be okay.
You keep Swift, but you got McCaffrey. You need Mike Davis, number 1. I mean,
Mike Davis has got to be number 1, but you don't know what to expect from Mike Davis, man. He's going to get the volume. That's how
many catches did he have last week?
He
had enough catches last week.
8 catches.
He is going to get the volume. He is the guy. It is a short-lived 3-week, yes, he's a number 2 running back for 3 weeks. Then he relegates to a number 5 running back on fantasy teams.
Yeah,
so,
I believe that. So wait, so before we go to that, did anybody got another guess? Because we'll throw this trivia question out there one more time before we get out of here, because I obviously have the answer. So, Dave, you got a guess? You look like
you said McNabb was close, so I'm going to go with Westbrook.
No, that would be wrong. Okay. John, do you have another guess? Mike, do you have another guess?
Yeah, Michael Vick.
No Michael Vick.
I'm going with Deuce Staley, man.
No Deuce. I can't believe you guys didn't mention the man. Yeah. What's that?
Shady.
Nope. And it's not Shady. And Rick Lorenzo, it's not Westbrook. It is Randall Cunningham.
Randall.
Look at that.
Good one.
6.4 yards per rush. Randall Cunningham. It's funny because nobody would have thought that. That's the funny part. So, because everybody's thinking all these names and you just don't put it together. It's funny, but yeah, Randall Cunningham. So that was a good trivia question. I like that. That stumped a lot of people.
Called the ultimate weapon.
Yes, ultimate weapon. Oh, look! Just so everybody knows, these comments are actually like when people type the comments, because we use a software, they're delayed by like 2 minutes. So James actually got Cunningham before we even said the word. So because that just popped up. So good shout out to James for getting Cunningham, man.
Nice job, James.
Yeah, nice job, and for everybody that tuned in tonight, listened tonight, as always, we really appreciate it. It's been a tremendous ride so far. We just went over the 10,000 mark. We are climbing. Got a couple new bodies that are going to be coming in the fray next week. We're going to keep these trivia questions going. Pretty soon we're going to have these online. They will be sponsored, so do your best to retweet, and vote as much as possible. But for a heat ratio standpoint, You see the numbers on the bottom. Follow at Heat Ratio Sports on all social platforms. And I know you guys are all listening. I know you guys follow. It's very easy. We just need the big favor of actually going to your social platform, whatever it is, to where you get your podcast, whether it be Spotify, iTunes, whatever. Click that 5-star. Give us a pound. Okay, social distancing. I get it. We're far, far away. You can just hit that, and then all you need to do is give us a review, and we will love you forever, man. Absolutely. And James checking in. Look, James checking in. I didn't even Google it. Good. Yeah. I'm kind of thinking he did by the emoji that he ends in there. I don't know, man. James wanted to Google it, but that's okay. It's all good. He got it in before all of us. So again, for your host, Tony Jigsaw Cotillo, Mikey went 3 beers deep tonight. The wild card, Mike Mataraki.
I told you I was going 3 deep tonight.
Pittsburgh, John Coker, and Coach Dave Dixon on this. Mike, kid us one out.
Put in the book.
Dave.
Peace.
Stay safe, stay healthy. See you next week.